Hi there out there in Internet's land. It's me, your infamous host, Francis7, here back with more GMAX Bootcamp Extras. And behind me on the screen, you'll see some of the things I like best in there. The stuff I made myself, and blinking lights. Yeah, I happen to really enjoy things that sort of blink and flash and move around. If you buy any of my stuff, which I hope you will, buy lots of it. I'm broke. Anyhow, behind me you'll see two types of animation. On the far right and left of this display is a frame flipping animation. That's where you have multiple pictures combined in a single texture, which then shows a portion of it on the screen at a time to give the illusion that it's moving, sort of like a flip book that you probably used to do in your textbooks in class and then get in trouble for. And also behind me you'll see scrolling types of animations. In this case it's basically one texture that's sort of going crazy in different directions because I've stretched it out in GMAX, and we'll be talking about doing both of these things. So here we are in my ancient copy of Photoshop, and I'm making a 256 by 256 texture, and then I'm going to paint a little stick. Okay, well, I like big brushes, and I cannot lie, but that's a little too large. So hang on a minute. There we go. Okay, so we're going to make a little stick figure. Here he goes. He's got one arm, he's got another arm, and maybe he has a head. Okay, and really quickly I'm going to put a little dot in each diagonal corner, so that there'll be a little thing to help me align the thing. You don't want to get the things out of alignment when you're dealing with animation. I'll copy this one. You know what? I'm going to save this one to the desktop, just this one frame, just by itself, so that when I put it on the model I can align it correctly. But I do need to make my animated texture. So I'm going to make the width, I don't know, 512. There is nothing saying that you can't make, like, say, a grid of 4 or 8 frames for your animation. You would have a really, well, almost impossible time if you wanted to do 3 frames of animation, because it's not going to divide by 2 very easily. So let me go ahead and undo a few more steps here. And in this one, what did he look like in the other one? Oh, he had his hands down. So in this one, we'll draw him with his hands up in the air. There we go. And his hands are up in the air, and he looks sort of happy about something. Some kind of deal with the corner dots. Once again, those are used for alignment to make sure that your frames are, straight and not crooked. And because honestly, if you're moving his legs off only by 1 pixel, it'll show up pretty bad. So what you don't want to do is have these little dots out of alignment. You want them to basically line up with a corner, an edge, another dot from another frame, etc. Sometimes they'll use different colors too to sort of make that work out. Then I'm going to need to erase those dots. Obviously I do not want them. It's my eraser. I want my eraser. Oh wait, that's too big. I like big erasers too. Okay, there we go. So I got rid of that one, I got rid of that one. Go back to the other layer, get rid of those. That one's gone, that one's gone. And I'm going to save this out to the desktop, and we'll go over to GMAX and make a real simple model. And I have both of my animations saved to a folder. I have this single frame one I'm going to use to put on the model, and the animated one I'll use to put on the thing in Previewer. Although there's no reason you can't. It's just easier to have one frame your animation for making things align correctly. It's kind of handy. So I usually save one of those. I'm going to make a simple box. We're going to make it 1 meter by 1 meter by, I don't know, could it be 0.1 meters? And then we'll position this in the center of our universe, because the world revolves around me. And if I zoom in on this, and I did the shape wrong, didn't I? Because that's not 1 meter wide, it's 15 meters wide. My 1 key is sticking. Okay, so here is, let me zoom in a bit on that, my little itsy bitsy box. And I'll right click on the box and I'll convert it to an editable mesh, which we've done before. I'll go up to the gizmo and say, hey, I want it to, or whatever you call that, I want to make it a UVW map. And there we go. Now we have the little orange box. Now we can drag and drop onto here. And let me minimize this again here a bit. And I'm just going to drag. It really doesn't matter which one I drag. This is just easier to work with a second texture. So now I've got this particular thing and it's all aligned and it looks pretty darn good. And that's basically what I want my guy to do. He's not going to move in here. So what I'll do is I'll do the rest of the steps. I'll clone the boxes. I'll merge in a master node. I'll make a collision mesh, and then I'll export that as a model out to the desktop. And we'll see you over in Previewer. If you don't know how to do that stuff, you might want to check out some of the earlier GMAX bootcamp lessons. This is one of the more advanced. Here's the model that I've created. It's just that simple box, and now we're going to go to the Materials menu where we're going to add a texture. So we'll add the animated texture, we'll click the Apply button, and then it doesn't animate at all. Okay, so we're going to need to make some changes. First off, you've probably never noticed this little button up here, or tab, which says Animation. So we'll click the Animation tab, and then there'll be a whole bunch of choices that we can make. For example, the type of animation. We can do like frame flipping, we can do a scrolling type animation or swaying. Let's take a look at some of those choices. We're going to be using all strips for this one, although one strip would probably work just fine for it. Swaying, there's a random frame. I use random frame when I do my eyes of my foxes, by the way. Anyway, let's do all strips, because I usually just pull that one down. And the number of frames we have basically 2 frames. We have one over here, and then we have another one over here, and they are in one strip going across. There's nothing saying you can't have more frames, say 2 more up here, or you could have another one over here and another one over here. You got 4. You really can't have rows of 3. So let's go ahead and set that up. There'll be 2 frames, and there's 1 strip, and we'll set it to a speed of 1. And we click Apply. We don't want to click OK. We want to click Apply. And now our little person should slowly start animating. We can change the speed. Let's make him go at speed 5. Or at speed 10. He'll speed up and do this. So you can adjust those speeds to your heart's content. Honestly, the system will probably max out somewhere around 20, 25. So going above that, like say 40, isn't probably going to work out too good. It won't be reliable. Also, it'll probably give people seizures. So kind of want to be careful using that one. So let's put them back down to 5 again, or 1. Alright, so that's frame flipping animation. Let's load up another texture into our browser, and I just have this one also from the Grosso series, and it's just sort of I don't know what we use this for. Oh, by the way, if you don't want something to be animated, there's a none feature. No, it's not a religious order type thing. It's none as in no animation. Okay, just to clarify that. I don't want some people. And if you click Apply, that'll take off whatever animation you have. There we go. Now the texture is back to non-animated. By the way, submitting an animated texture costs an arm and a leg, so you want to use it sparingly. In your animations objects, you can have 2 textures which are animated. If you want to have more, you can make it as an interactive object. If you make it as an interactive object, you can have 2 animations going on when you submit them. That will show up the second the person takes it out in world, but they can be overridden in the programming of animations when you program your master object. So that way you could have 4 or maybe even more textures animated in an interactive object. But as far as normal items, like a knick-knack or something, you're limited to 2. So only 2 of your 4 textures in your knick-knack could be animated, or your 10 in your house, as long as it's a normal object, not an interactive object. Anyway, let's try another one. Let's try scrolling animation. And we'll set the speed to 5, and we'll just have this thing scroll away. And now you can see the texture is scrolling downwards. There's a direction command up here. You could set it to go reverse. Let's put it in reverse and click Apply. So again, the changes only happen when we click the Apply button. Now it's going up over and over and over again. There's also an alternating one. Let me speed it up because this is taking too long. So here we go. We got that goes down and it goes back up again. This might be useful if you're, I don't know, doing a Pong game or something. Yeah, you could use it for that. Also, some other types of animations. Swaying. Swaying's kind of fun. Oh, you can change the angle too. So let's change the angle to be like 30. Oh, wait. Let's put the speed down to 1 because I can't follow that. Oh, I put it to swaying. Let me go back to scrolling. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So, where was it? So here is scrolling with an angle. So now it's going downwards. I think I told it to forward, but you could alternate this the same way. There we go. So there's alternating, speed of 10 and a 30-degree angle, so it bounces, it goes up. That's actually pretty cool. I haven't tried that one before, but definitely going to want to use that one in something. Let's try swaying. And we're going to slow the speed down to let's do point 10. So I'm going to pick swaying, 0.10 for the speed, and maybe leave the angle at 30. And the difference of this is swaying sort of slows down and it speeds back up and goes the other direction. It's a very natural kind of motion. You can play with the amplitude in this. This is what a lot of designers use for like wind blowing in their trees. They'll have the leaves, and they can do it even more slowly. So let's get 0.01. Oops, sorry about that. I clicked OK instead of apply. So this is a very slow, sort of deliberate, sort of swaying thing. Developers use this a lot for trees. But that's the fun thing about this. You can play around with all these controls until you get it looking just the way you want it before you submit it. Well, that video probably left you really confused. But you'll get over it as you play around with it and figure out how it works. Anyhow, until the next GMAX Bootcamp Extra, I'm your infamous host, or maybe notorious. I think I'd rather be infamous. That sounds better. Famous? Yeah, but infamous. Yeah. Yeah, first you get the respect, then you get the polygons, then you get the verts, right? No? Oh well, we'll see you next time.